Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host Dr. Amber Q and I'm delighted that you've joined me today because today I'm going to speak about one of my favourite topics. You may be thinking, Amber's got a lot of favourite topics. You could be right there. But today I want to speak about, as you've probably guessed, Little House on the Prairie. Now, this is a program of my childhood and I just loved it so much. I still love it as an adult, although I've not seen it for ages. But recently I've been watching some clips and I've seen like a documentary or program. I think there's some anniversary coming up and I think that's the reason that it's kind of been showing online. But apparently it is one of the very, I don't know which platform this is on, but it's very popular in terms of people watching it. So I was actually going to start the podcast episode by saying, Little House on the Prairie, it's from my childhood. So people who don't know what it is, you may not enjoy it, but actually you probably still will because I'm going to speak about general things. And then I kind of thought, and I'm kind of realizing this as literally as I'm saying it, that it is being streamed on other platforms at the moment and it's very popular. And when the stars have been going to, they've been doing a tour, I think just in the States, there are a lot of young people there. So it's still appealing to people. And I just think that's amazing. That's wonderful. I mean, I don't think it's amazing because I'm not surprised because it was so wonderful. But I think it's incredible because people are craving what that program provided. But let's start at the beginning. Picture this. Handsome Michael Landon. Oh my gosh, he was so handsome. But picture him standing in that golden prairie, that unmistakable smile that he had, the warmth he carried, literally like sunlight. And besides him, Half-Pint, little Laura Ingalls, all spirit and spark, coming through the grass like she was born from the wind itself. We didn't just watch them, we felt them and we learned from them. And I think that the reason that Little House on the Prairie has never lost its value and it's basically becoming even more treasured or prized at the moment because the values that they represented are coming back into, into the modern world in a way that no one sort of expected. I mean, who knew that the world would move the way it is currently? But the thing is, if you look at, obviously I'm speaking about the documentary and streaming on different platforms. But if you look across search trends right now as well, it's crazy. People are Googling everything from traditional living to homestead values to slow living. We know slow living is a thing. Prairie lifestyle. And, I get it. Honestly, I get it because the world is crazy. Putting aside all the geopolitical things, the world is just overstimulated. People are overwhelmed. They're just overexposed to things. They're over notified with their phones and their sort of devices. Yeah. And of course now with wearable tech as well, that's another thing. And I think everyone is craving something that's just warm and human and just rooted. And it's not that we necessarily want to go back in time. We just want to bring those values forward because, often I say, I would love to try and travel, but I'd like to be invisible because obviously life wasn't as advanced then. So although it looks lovely, there were lots of difficulties. So it would be great rather than traveling back in time if we could bring those values forward. And let's put Islam at the side for the moment, because Islam does actually embody all these values. But, generally, those values were embodied with Laura Ingalls and Michael Landon, or par. I read the books as well, and the books were just as amazing. They were amazing in a different way to the series. It was just so fantastic. And I think the thing is that the book and the show, it wasn't just about pioneers or kind of cabins and prairie dresses, but really it was about a few things, right? It was about lovely Michael Landon, who was a father figure who led with kindness. It was about family you could count on. It was about Laura and actually her sister Mary and her brother Albert later on, who made mistakes but grew through them. It was about Ma, who loved fiercely and quietly, and a community that looked out for each other. Let's not talk about Nellie and the Olsons right now, although Mr. Olson was adorable. And so the thing is that recently I was saying that, I watched a documentary, and the surviving members were on there. I think there were quite a few of them that are surviving. So sad that Michael Landon passed away. But the cast were older, wiser, weathered. They were honest about their struggles. I think Laura Ingalls had an addiction to alcohol. And I don't know, it was just so wonderful, because seeing them grow up, grow older, and grow through challenges didn't kind of break the magic. I've seen the actors behind the characters. It actually deepened it, because they're just human. And they just all seemed so lovely and appreciative of their time on Little House on the Prairie and of those values. And so I think the thing is that you've got various entrepreneurs and billionaires, telling us that, and then specialist mindfulness people telling us that, hey, you've got to have, evenings without screens and moments where you actually see each other. And that, it's not about followers and likes, it's about actual people. And when we work, it's got to be about the satisfaction of the effort we put in, or just making something real. And everyone's spiritual as well, aren't they? Not in a rigid sense, but they just want to have some morality and faith and character. And people want to have real growth, right? And it's so funny, because these are all values that, A, can I just say, they're provided in Islam, but B, they were also on Little House on the Prairie. And so the thing is, people, we've got all the billionaires and the entrepreneurs talking about these things, and people are whispering those, or are desiring those, right? Which is why these people are speaking about them, because people do feel overwhelmed. They want peace and connection, because these are just human needs, basic human needs, right? And oh my gosh, when we think about Michael Landon and how gorgeous he was, and how he would just glow with gentleness and humour, and when you think of Half-Pint, and when I do, it's so iconic. The opening of the show is she's tearing through a field like joy in human form. It's so lovely, because we feel that longing, right? Not for the past, but for ourselves. And this is why, in a previous episode, I was talking about smelling a rose, because that's what it's so beautiful. Because the thing is, we don't want a version of ourselves that, the thing is, at the moment, we are exhausted, overstimulated, and just drowning in noise. And that's not how we see, ourselves really. That's not what we want. We want to be, present and full of joy and energy and, just peace, really. And so I think the thing is, it's so obvious. We know that we need to get back to those values, right? So many ways we can do that. Sort of everyone speaks about communities, but honestly, you just need one person that has your back. And the research shows that So one person that had your back, do something together like cooking and making stuff. I'm going to sign up for a calligraphy class, actually. Funnily enough, it is, I think, near the university where I qualified. So I'm quite looking forward to going back and having a look at my dental school. So that's going to be so much fun. But, just the rituals thing. Like, I know people have Sunday dinner, possibly. I don't know how many people do. But, just having meaningful sort of occasions and creating sort of your own traditions, right? So kind of the equivalent of, I guess, gathering around the fire. But the basic thing is that, look, if anyone knows me, and actually a lot of people don't know this about me, but I don't know why I'm saying this if anyone knows me, because even people listening to this won't know that when I first started online on AOL, my name was Frothy Spirit, and I kept that name for a long time. It was my Instagram name as well until my poodle passed, and then I didn't feel frothy anymore. It's going to be his 10-year anniversary soon, bless him. But the point is that I guess I always felt a bit like Laura Ingalls, and I think a lot of us do. But the reason I felt like her was because I'm small, spirited, curious, and a little bit mischievous. So I felt like I guess I really identified with her, actually. And I feel that, there's something in her that lives in me. And I bet it lives in you too, because honestly, it's just that loving them now after watching the series as I kind of grew up, and then also just seeing them now, it just feels, of course it feels different because they're not the characters anymore, but it feels richer, more human, and more real, because I don't know, I think their resilience, actually, it doesn't dilute the magic. Quite often if you see the actors behind characters, it kind of dilutes things, right? But I think with the case of Little House on the Prairie, it actually amplifies it. And I feel that it's just, I don't know, it's just what we're all craving. And it's really interesting because Melissa Gilbert, the actress that played Laura Ingalls, she said that if Michael Landon was here now, his voice would be really important because he always believed in the inherent goodness of everyone. And I think that's so true. And again, that's an Islamic perspective. I know he was Jewish. And there's so many things that sort of, Christians, Jews and Muslims have in common. And I think a lot of that just in the world, it's just like everything, right? The world has become so noisy. It's hard to be heard sometimes, I think. And so this is my little corner of the internet where I just ramble on. And, we're almost at 14 minutes and I've been talking about Little House on the Prairie because I love it and because I see myself in Half-Pint. And I have to say my mother is quite like Ma as well. And so that's really nice. And yeah, it's fun. It's just a fun thing, isn't it? To identify. I don't know, is that the right adjective? I don't know. I'm just feeling like saying that it's fun. But just innocence, right? It's just innocence. The innocence of being human and just, sharing connection with others and just being warm and real, really. And that in itself gives all of our lives richness. And so, I don't know, do you have big community? You might do, because of course entrepreneurs are now realizing, and I think people are realizing generally, but especially businesses and small brands are realizing that, hey, community is the one thing that's going to survive. But sometimes I feel that community can be I don't want to say abused, but I think in the business sense, sometimes it can, because for some people that just means cash. But I'm saying it should be about connection. And and that's it really. That's all I think I want to say on the topic. And now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm going to put on the theme tune to Little House and run around the house, just, squealing with joy. So until the next episode, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives. Oh, P.S. I don't know if you can have a P.S. on a postcard, on a podcast. God, I can't even get my words out. I'm too excited about the theme tune of Little House. If you did enjoy this episode, please leave a rating, review, share it with someone, and let's spread joy. Let's create our own little world, because that's the best way. Create our own reality of joy and wonderful values. Bye for now.